After years of noise, crowds, and information overload, travelers are craving the calm. Slower itineraries, nature-driven escapes, wellness-focused stays, and destinations that truly let them unplug, right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Travel Trends and Travelzoo, a special partnership we have brought together to focus on the best bet destinations for 2026. This is your host, Dan Christian, and today I'm going to be joined for our very first episode by two extraordinary guests at Travelzoo. Now, I want to give a little bit more context before I bring in my co-host and the head of publishing at Travelzoo to join us. I have been a huge fan of Travelzoo since the very beginning, and very interestingly, there's a personal and a professional connection. Of course, many of our listeners know that my dad passed away, and it led to me creating the Travel Trends podcast. Now, my dad loved Travelzoo. He used to get his weekly top 20s. He would often forward them to me. He booked trips with Travelzoo and even restaurant reservations in the city of Toronto, where I am based. And I spent a significant amount of our marketing budget at the Travel Corporation on Travelzoo because it worked so well for our brands, and I worked incredibly closely with the Travelzoo team. So I knew from a personal level how meaningful it was to my father and many other travelers, and of course, I could see how it was working on a professional side as well. So I am especially thrilled to bring together this partnership because Travel Trends is now at the point as the number one B2B podcast to be able to partner with Travelzoo, a brand that I have known and admired for so long, to introduce the Best Bets campaign for 2026. Now, Travelzoo only started Travel Best Bets in 2025. So we're going to have the opportunity here over the course of 10 episodes to be able to feature many incredible destinations, both cities and countries, that are incredible value for money and are really the top places to travel to in 2026. So I can't thank these two enough for bringing this series together. And I know our audience is going to love hearing about the top destinations and the top travel deals for 2026. So I'm first going to bring in Gabe Saglie, who is the travel content producer and host, as well as senior editor of Travelzoo, who will be co-hosting in this series. And then we're going to bring in Jonathan Jones. He is the head of publishing in the US, and he is our very first guest for this episode, since we want to give some context about Travelzoo and Travel Best Bets to our global listeners. And then next week, we're going to bring in Andrew Young from Travelzoo as well to announce the top destinations, and then we're going to get right into them. But let's kick things off and bring Gabe into the conversation. Gabe, thanks so much for joining me on Travel Trends and as a co-host for this series. Tell everyone about your role and our plans for this series together.
Hey, Dan. I was going to say to Jonathan, how many times have we heard that, right? That it's a lot about word of mouth. Members who have been big fans of Travelzoo, someone peeks over their shoulder. How did you get to go into that particular, concert hall or that experience? How did you get to pay that for that particular, moment in travel? So it is a lot about word of mouth. We have a very captive and very engaged audience, a very travel-savvy audience, and the fact that that word spreads as it did from your dad to you, Dan, is always fantastic to hear. Listen, I've been with Travelzoo for a long time. My background is in broadcast journalism. I actually met the two brothers of Bartels who started Travelzoo before they launched the company. We were working together on a wine, sort of a fine wine website. We met together in Santa Monica. They were in LA. They sort of folded that, said, "Hey, we're going to start a travel website." I then decided to go into the world of television news, and then we just hooked up a few years later. So I just celebrated 20 years with Travelzoo. Travelzoo was founded in 1998. It has grown as the world of travel has grown, and as the traveler themselves has become savvier over time. And I think we're sort of on the leading edge of the way that the travel experience just sort of evolves over time. But yeah, 20 years, which coincides with my son Gabriel's 20th birthday. So I started right when my first son of three kids was born, and it's been it's more of a lifestyle. It's never really felt like a job. I think Jonathan can agree with me. It's become a lifestyle, right?
Absolutely. It is certainly a labor of love for all of us. We walk in the door every single day, passionate about bringing these amazing experiences to life for folks like you, Dan, and your dad. So we owe your dad a huge thanks because Gabe is exactly right. We've grown. Word of mouth has been a big way that we have grown as a company and as a brand. So it is truly a passion that we all share around here. So.
And I should mention, Dan, if you don't mind, that Travelzoo is a global company. We've got about 230 some odd employees across the globe. I'm part of our team here in the U.S. Along with Jonathan. We've got Travelzoo Canada. We've got Travelzoo UK, France, Spain, and Germany. So we are, in fact, a global company. The 230 some odd of us got together in Cannes in southern France just a few weeks ago for our company meeting to sort of recalibrate as we head into 2026. And that was it's always a fantastic time when we get to put faces behind the email names and just reconnect with people. A lot of folks have been with the company for a long time. To just get together again was a fantastic time.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we have so many colleagues in common, especially a number of people from the Toronto office, the New York office. And I'm glad you mentioned about the global nature of the business because, being in a global travel company, we worked with Travelzoo on a global scale. And so even the team members like in Europe and even Asia Pacific, we were very focused on the North America market. So we had the deepest relationships with the Toronto and the New York office. But when I was living in LA, we were working very closely with the Travelzoo team. They would come and visit us. And the one thing I've certainly learned is that Travelzoo has beautiful offices as well. So I've had the privilege to visit a few of your offices, and each of your offices has a spectacular view of the city that it's in. And I think that's actually directly connected to the founders. So tell us a little bit about that as far as how that connects to the Travelzoo culture.
Well, the Bartel brothers, Ralph and Holger, launched the company in 1998. I think the idea of being established in these sort of landmark cities was a key part of the birth of the company. And I remember as an employee flying from LA to New York to meet with Ralph for my meeting and having to go to the 37th floor of the IBM building on the corner of 57th and Madison was part of the excitement of being able to now to sort of potentially launch a new chapter in my professional career. So I dressed the part, of course, and sort of tapped the buzz of that beautiful Midtown Manhattan. And that's certainly been the part. Now, post-COVID, we've had some adjustments. The number of offices has shrunk a little bit, but we've got some beautiful outposts in Chicago, in Miami, and in New York City. The offices as you can imagine, in Germany. We're headquartered there in Berlin. Great office in Munich that I've got a chance to work out of over the years. The London office, fantastic. We're also in Manchester. The Toronto office, obviously, also stunning. So I think that is part of the culture, the idea that, hey, we are in these landmark destination cities. We're part of those communities, and we're also in areas where we've got very savvy traveler audience, if you will, and so it just weaves into what the Travelzoo membership and what that persona is all about quite nicely.
And when you love where you work, right? And to Gabe's point, when you walk into these office spaces, they just ooze the desire to collaborate. They just ooze the desire to want to know what's going on outside of those four walls and get involved in these communities and understand the types of experiences that are potentially available to the members that we serve. And that is a big part of it. I'm here in Miami. I'm not in our Miami office today. It is Art Basel happening in Miami this week. So it is gridlock traffic everywhere, but I am normally in our Travelzoo office here, but it is just a stunning example of loving where you work. So we're very proud of that.
And one of the things that certainly happens in those offices that we're going to get into in this series is how you put together these incredible travel deals and put them into what really kind of started as this top 20 newsletter. I know you guys do so much more than that now, but that's one of the things that Travelzoo has become known for. But in terms of Gabe's role, I want to just bring our listeners along the journey because Gabe is going to be a part of this 10-part series. And I thought that was really important. When Gabe and I first met, I was like, he is very active in the media space. And obviously you're going to get that sense right away from hearing him as you have already. And I really wanted to be a part of this since he knows Travelzoo's culture so well. And of course, I know the Travel Trends audience. And I thought the two of us together, not only interviewing Jonathan today, but every guest we're going to have over this 10-part series is going to be really important to have your insights and your contribution. So tell everyone a bit more, Gabe, about your role and where you're based.
Yeah, listen, thank you. I mean, Jonathan is obviously is at the helm of crafting these exclusive offers with the foremost thing in all of our minds as Travelzoo employees is our membership, or what we call our travel enthusiasts. What's going to get these folks enthused and motivated to take that next trip? We know that most of them have in fact, close to 97% of our membership has a valid passport, so they're ready to roll. And this is, again, a very savvy group of travelers. So that's what, what you see coming to your inbox, the deals and the content on the website. Certainly, Jonathan is on the leading edge of that. I take over when it comes to a lot of spinning some editorial storytelling around those deals. So I think, to me, the way I approach any sort of Travelzoo deal, there's a story behind it. There's a reason why we're publishing this particular deal now. The destination, there's something special about the destination. There's something unique that allowed us to achieve that very exclusive price point and some of those exclusive extras that make these deals, top of their class and something you won't find anywhere else. So I do a lot of our editorial projects, a lot of media-facing projects where we take those deals, we take that content, we put it in front of a more sort of a widespread audience. Maybe the folks who are watching what we are presenting on television or on a podcast like this or on radio or on print are not Travelzoo members or at the moment, but the idea is to sort of show them how we are unique inside the travel space. And those who are, in fact, genuine travel enthusiasts will sort of now start to lean into the kind of content that you can really only find on the Travelzoo website.
No, that's great. Thank you, Gabe. I appreciate that context. I'm sure our listeners do as well, especially given you're going to be such a key part of the series. So we're going to continue to have these discussions. And obviously, I know you have some questions for Jonathan today. I just want to bring him in to the conversation now and give some context to his role, because you have been with Travelzoo, as you highlighted, more than 20 years. And Jonathan is not far behind you, because he's been nearly 17 years. You were with Ticketmaster before, but you've had an incredible career already with Travelzoo. Clearly, you love the company and the culture, and we've highlighted that. And that's why, clearly, not only as a personally and professionally being a big fan of Travelzoo, also being able to have these conversations now about how these deals come together, because obviously your team is choosing these deals. I want to get into what the Travelzoo community is all about. But tell us a little bit more about your role and what a day in your life looks like.
So listen, Gabe has a great job. Great job. I have the dream job. And that's how I position it, right? I am the head of publishing here at Travelzoo, and I honestly get the privilege of guiding what millions of travel enthusiasts read, watch, and act on every week, right? So my role sits at the intersection of journalism, commerce, and creativity. I get to lead this team of deal experts, is what we call them. They're storytellers and editors who scour the world to uncover the most exciting, best value travel experiences, and then translate them into content that inspires people to actually go. So you asked about a typical day. I would say this: a typical day is wonderfully varied, which is good. I might start the morning reviewing new exclusive offers our team has negotiated, making sure that they meet our very, very high standards for quality, value, and trust, right? Midday, you might find me refining upcoming stories or concepts and thinking through how we bring these destinations to life in a way that sparks a bit of wanderlust with our members. And which ones might be perfect for our weekly Top 20 newsletter, which includes the 20 best travel and lifestyle experiences we find each and every week. In the afternoon, I'm often working with our product and marketing and partnerships teams, exploring how we reach more members or deepen the engagement. And somewhere in between, I'm probably looking at performance data and feedback from our members. Like, we want to know what's resonating, we want to know what's trending, and where we should go next. I would say at the heart, Dan and Gabe, it's my job is really about connection, connecting our members with experiences worth dreaming about, and ultimately we want them to book, right? So every day, I'm asking the same question, really, our club of travel enthusiasts, and it's the same question that our club of travel enthusiasts ask themselves, and it really is this: where to next, right? And the hope is that we're answering that every single day with something.
I have to say, though, Jonathan's job, Dan, is, think about this. So our flagship newsletter the top 20 new deals, travel experiences of the week. Think about how much is on his plate on we're talking about dozens and dozens. And there's an interesting dynamic that occurs with the producers and with the editors who bring these potential offers to the table. They're trying to sell them. Jonathan's playing goalie. The only stuff that's going to get through is the stuff that's really going to be the creme de la creme, something that's going to allow us week after week to be able to prove this is not something you're going to find anywhere else. There's an exclusivity. There's also a quality factor, which I think is an interesting concept. How do you, at all price points, because certainly I think part of the Travelzoo DNA is the value concept, but that exists at all price points. And we've had some very high price point experiences, Jonathan, as you know, that performed quite well because although the price point was high, the value factor was still phenomenal. And I think it's all about that quality bar. And when you're dealing with so much amazing content that could be potentially coming through, to weed it down to those 20 is quite a task, right?
Well, one thing I want to make sure that our audience also has a full grasp on is the portfolio of Travelzoo, because it's one of the things, what you just described, Gabe, is spot on from my experience working with Travelzoo as an advertiser, bringing travel deals to the table that I know your team vets thoroughly, because we've had offers rejected because you found better deals in the marketplace. So I know that's time tested from my experience. We know we need to bring something to you that you can't otherwise find in the marketplace, that has to be better than anything else online. But there's clearly more to Travelzoo than the newsletter. And that was always the thing that stood out to me every time we had a meeting with your team. So tell us a little bit more about the overall landscape of Travelzoo, the content side, social media activity, and some of the other ways you reach people even beyond email.
Generally, I see Travelzoo as really a menu of travel experiences delivered across multiple channels. So clearly our goal is to leverage all possible channels to deliver this content to a very captive and a very savvy audience. So, for example, I work closely with our team that does social media, and that's not only here in the U.S., but in Canada and in Europe as well. What's the content that's going to make sense across all of those global social media channels? Some of that content is going to make really more sense to push it across certain channels in Canada or perhaps in Germany and France and Spain and everywhere else. So there's a prioritization of the audience that's going to be receiving these across these social media channels specifically. And then how do we then take content that might be on the website as a deal on the top 20 or as content on what we call our showcases, which are these spectacular, visually stunning, basically blog posts, if you will, that these stories that bring destinations and deals that are connected to them to life. But yes, it's a multi-pronged. I see there's a menu of opportunity here. But Jonathan, you can speak better to the fact that you've got your hands basically in all of that, because what you're creating, what you're putting out there ends up then making its way across all of these platforms, all of these channels, and in some cases across the globe as well.
Absolutely, yeah. This our members, we have to meet our members where they are, right? And in this day and age, certainly email is a big piece of that. But what we're finding now too is that our members are digesting our content more through our social channels, right? So what we are working through is what types of platforms and formats make the most sense for this type of content, right? How can we evolve a lot of the things that we used to do in email into video, because that's what people want now, right? They would still want the Travelzoo experience, but they want it in a 15-second video clip, right? Within at the end of it, a way to actually book it. So it's that type of evolution that we're seeing. Certainly social media has paved the way for that, but it's that type of evolution that we are working through. But it has not had any impact on the level and types of experiences that we continue to offer to our members.
And the reason I wanted to ask you that, both Jonathan and Gabe, is because I had many different executives within the travel organizations I'd work with when I would bring a Travelzoo opportunity to the table. And their first reaction sometimes was, we're not discounting or doing deals, but at the same time, what we discovered working with Travelzoo, if you're launching a new river cruise ship and you want to be involved in highlighting that content, you have such an engaged audience of travelers who meet the criteria for travel advertisers, that they have the means to be able to travel, they have the interest, and they have a passport. So the people who are on a Travelzoo website, they may be deal oriented, but it's not necessarily discount. A lot of your customers are very affluent and they travel frequently. And so that was one of the things I just wanted to establish at the onset about Travelzoo as a brand and a business from my experience. Having said all of that, we are here to talk about best bets for 2026. And I do want our audience to know how that comes together. So maybe, Gabe, why don't you start off to give our listeners an overview of what is a Travelzoo best bet?
So this is an editorial tour de force, really, because this is a relatively new campaign for us. We launched it in 2025, and it really was editors within the company, me, Jonathan, and really dozens of folks initially nominating destinations around the globe that would really help craft a super unique, special, inspirational list of places for people to go, both domestically, for those of us in the U.S., it could be a state, it could be a city, or certainly globally. We put a fantastic list of 9 destinations together for 2025. We won 4 Travel Weekly Magellan Gold Awards, for including one for that particular campaign this year. So very happy with that. And so now we've ramped it up a little bit. We've got 10 destinations on tap for 2026. I've seen the list. Jonathan, we've all seen the list. We want to tease our audience and let them know we will be revealing over the next couple of weeks some of these destinations. But there's some fascinating destinations, both domestically, if you're a Canadian, if you're an American, certainly internationally as well. And it starts as a nomination process. So you've got these deal experts, these travel experts within the company that suggest the destinations. We use criteria that will make these destinations relevant. Is there a landmark anniversary, a major event next year that perhaps will shed the spotlight on this destination? I think sustainability has become a major calling card for us as well. Are there initiatives? Are there ways that things are done on the ground at these places that can inspire travelers, that can inspire other destinations to perhaps creatively create sustainable ways of enjoying these destinations as we move forward? Connectivity. Is there something new about the ability to reach these places that perhaps last year did not exist? Increased flights, new infrastructure that allows us to get there. So the idea is to create, and you've seen the list, a very eclectic, international snapshot of places that we feel in 2026 will really be part of any travel enthusiast conversation. And, Jonathan, we look at this list and it's like some of these places we're familiar with, some we have perhaps distantly thought about, and the fact that now it's coming into focus. And I'll use one example from 2025, Jonathan, that I think you'll agree with me, Malta. Because Malta, for the American traveler, I think perhaps Canadian as well, very much a far-flung exotic destination. We had that on our 2025 list. And really, I think we've seen over the course of the year that we were pretty right on the money. There has been this surge of interest. Delta now announcing the first ever U.S. to Malta nonstop flight. They're launching in June of 2026. So I think we were right on the money with that one. We were and I've had a chance to be there. A year ago, Dan, I could not have probably found Malta, on the map all that well. I've been there 3 times in the last year as we continue to build on that relationship with the Visit Malta team, and as we see increase interest and appetite from the Travelzoo membership around content that we put out there. Jonathan, we put out some fantastic Malta deals that finally have opened up this exotic destination to an audience that before would never have known about it.
Yeah, listen, Best Bets is honestly one of my favorite projects because it really does a beautiful job of showing how editorial our approach is. This isn't just a list of deals and destinations. It's a perspective on where we think travelers should be paying attention, right? So for 2026, we all know America is approaching its 250th year, right? One of the questions our team asked was this, right? What destinations, and Gabe spoke to this a few minutes ago, what destinations represent that spirit of exploration, whether it's close to home, which you'll see in the list once we reveal it, or far away, right? We invited our editors worldwide to nominate these places for all sorts of reasons, right? Again, big anniversaries, milestone moments, right? Cultural or historic importance, sustainability, a breakthrough in sustainability also being a part of this, or even brand new infrastructure. And Gabe mentioned this too, that suddenly makes a place, more accessible. And once those nominations are in, we do what we do at Travelzoo. We discuss, we debate, and we refine. That's what we do. That is our value proposition, right? We look for destinations that feel both meaningful and exciting. Places that have something to say in the year ahead. Then we match that, what I call our editorial vision, with our deal making expertise. That piece comes in so that our members can not only dream about those places, but actually go. So Best Bets isn't chosen because it's trendy. There's so many other brands that are showing you trendy. It's chosen because it has a relevance, it has a story, and there are real reasons why 2026 just happens to be that destination's moment.
Well, and it's one of the things that I love about this concept of best bets, because I can see from my experience in the industry how much it can lift up a destination. And so not only when they get selected, they are not only thrilled to be listed, but the business results, to the point you just shared, Gabe, about Malta. And that's why I'm really excited. I know next week we're going to share the official list. This week, we are highlighting not only the relationship with Travelzoo, the best bets, and introducing our audience to Jonathan to get his overall take on the business and where Travelzoo is headed, especially with these best bets. But there's one I want you to be able to give away this week for our listeners, because I know it's near and dear to your heart. So to kind of whet everyone's appetite of one of the top destinations for 2026, one of the best bets, Jonathan, would you share one of those highlights with us?
I'll give you two hints to this destination. I'll give you three hints, actually. The first hint, it is close to home. So it's not terribly far. It won't take you terribly long to get there. The second hint is it actually has been in the spotlight this year because a very reputable company has recognized it as the U.S.'s best city. So if you don't get it from that, the third hint, and if you like blues music, this is literally the capital of blues. Now, I'm not going to tell you the name of the city. From those three, you should know exactly what it is. And if you don't, you'll have to wait till next week.
Yeah. Well, it's one of my favorite cities in the U.S. I've spent a lot of time there. I've got a lot of friends there, and I can't wait to record that episode. So, then this is where, for our listeners, we haven't recorded that episode yet. This is literally the first episode we're recording. Then we're going to announce all the destinations, and then Gabe and I will be speaking to each of these destinations, and we're going to have multiple people from those destinations joining us to be able to highlight what makes that destination so special, and obviously how thrilled they are to have been chosen as a Travelzoo Best Bet for 2026. And I look forward to seeing the results on each of their cities or countries, because it is a combination of both. Now, let's look ahead as far as where we go from here, because obviously there's so much to share about Travelzoo itself. And one of the things I wanted to make sure that we highlighted is this concept of the club experience, because that has been an exciting shift for the business. And so, Jonathan, obviously that's a key part for you. And Gabe, I'm keen to get your take on this as well. What does the travel club mean? And for those people who are coming to understand a Travelzoo membership, what are some of the benefits of them becoming a member of Travelzoo?
So we call our members travel enthusiasts. And when you are a club member at Travelzoo, that name is very intentional because they're not, in our opinion, they're not just shoppers, right? They are people who light up at the idea of discovery. Our members aren't passively browsing at all. They're actively, dreaming and planning and comparing notes with us, right? And when we think about membership and we think about this idea of this club of travel enthusiasts, again, it's not just focused on the act or the action of booking something. It really is about being in this community of people that want the same things that you do. They want to have these different experiences, right? And that's good. And there's a lot of education and tip sharing as well. I think these folks are quite loyal, and they're loyal to Travelzoo. And I think if you were to ask me like what makes them loyal, I think and we spoke about this a minute ago, it's a mix of trust and this shared passion, right? And that to me is a benefit. For more than 2 decades, we've treated travel almost like a craft. Right? We vet rigorously, we recommend selectively, and we talk to our audience like fellow explorers, right? Not just consumers. When we say something is worth it, they know a real editor, a real person stood behind that decision. I would say the other part probably is this idea of participation. Our members give feedback. They tell us what they booked. They share where they want to go next. It's a loop. Their true enthusiasm for what we do and the types of experiences that we're sharing with them shapes what we actually publish, right? Which fuels their next next adventure. And that's the loop, right? That sense of belonging is so powerful. So this idea of building this club of travel enthusiasts goes well beyond deals, right? It truly is respecting what we said to our members from day one. Trust us. That loyalty, comes from feeling seen and understood. They know Travelzoo isn't just a deals feed. It's this club built around, and I use this word quite a bit, but curiosity, value, and I'd say like the thrill of what's possible. And once you feel that, you don't really want to travel any other way. Let me tell you. Once you got that, that's the only way you're going to go. So that's just super important.
One thing I wanted to throw in there, this will make Jonathan giggle, because we spend as a company from the top down, we spend a lot of time just trying to define the term travel enthusiast, because the better you understand who this particular individual is, then the better you're going to be able to craft content that's going to inspire them to travel. So we're talking about the travelers who are passionate, as Jonathan mentioned, engaged. They do participate. I mentioned our company meeting in Cannes at the beginning of this episode. When we were there, part of how we spent an afternoon was we flew in about 10 different members from across the globe to sit on stage, meet face-to-face the couple hundred folks who are responsible for the deals that they're booking on a regular basis, but then to get their real-time feedback, honest feedback, a lot of it good. Some of it was very, was pointed, and we learned some things about how we're always trying to evolve and become better. What better a source to figure out how to do that than the membership that's acting on these deals? So that was probably, if you talk to most of the folks who were there, our favorite part of that meeting was that we were able to see face-to-face and hear from this membership. So they are engaged. They're looking to make the content they're getting better and much more relevant. So that communication, and I should point out, we do have, for those of you on Facebook, we have a fantastic closed group on Facebook, Travelzoo Nation. If you're interested in engaging with other travelers, exchange ideas and tips about destinations, how to travel, what to do when problems arise, etc., that's a fantastic resource as well. It's sort of a snapshot of that travel enthusiast we're talking about, which again drives pretty much everything anybody in the company, Jonathan or I or anybody else, do on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. We are and will always be a members first organization. Our members come first, and what they say, how they interact with our brand and this community is always top of mind for us, for sure.
And that's what the dynamic is so interesting that you referenced earlier, Dan, this idea that we've got travel partners, clients, customers who are all the time, thanks to, in part to Jonathan, hearing, no, that's not going to make the cut. Let's go back. Let's rework this. Let's come up with something that's really going to wow our audience, our membership of travel enthusiasts. So it's an interesting dynamic. Usually, businesses are used to just taking what clients say and we run with it. There is a very interesting dynamic here that Jonathan beautifully reconciles every single day to ensure that the content is premium and exclusive and certainly unique.
Well, and you mentioned, Jonathan, about meeting the customers where they are. And one of the things that I've seen with Travelzoo over the years is you have evolved really to be a lifestyle business beyond just a travel business. And so, you've clearly, and I think people have heard from our conversation about how you have become one of the most trusted names in travel deals, if not the most trusted name in travel deals, given the way you approach this. And so when people see your best bets, obviously they know that these are the destinations and there's great offers to be had to travel to these countries and these cities. But one of the things I just wanted to highlight, and I'm keen to get both of your take on this, is that when I think about the Travelzoo membership experience being a lifestyle one, when I get my Travelzoo, and I get multiple Travelzoo emails because I subscribe for in different countries and also for Newsflash and because I want to get deals and so for like weekend getaways. So like everything from Exotica promoting a $9.99 deal to Peru or we were doing this with our African safari brands, promoting $19.99 trips to South Africa or $29.99. We were putting these different deals together and we would see great success. We'd put a deal in the newsletter and we would get thousands, hundreds or thousands of bookings. Like it's depending on the price point, but nevertheless, it was real and it was meaningful. But I also see that you guys are into dining, even wellness, and even weekend getaways. So I'm based in Toronto, as our listeners know and have heard. And Prince Edward County is one of our team members is based there. And I keep getting these deals to go for weekend retreats to Prince Edward County. So I'm always forwarding them to my friends there so they can share it with their family or friends that might want to come for a visit. But so tell us a little bit more about how.
Keep doing that.
Yeah. Well, and the deals are great. So it's like they're why wouldn't you take up on that for a weekend getaway? But yeah,
Right.
tell us a little bit more how you guys have expanded into these lifestyle experiences, and
Sure.
I guess your overall vision for where the brand and business is headed.
Sure. I mean, for us, I would say expanding into dining and wellness and events, it was a very natural evolution. Travel has always been about experiences, the things you taste, the things you feel, the things you remember. Offering those closer to home fits perfectly with our mission, right? Our members are experience seekers, right? And that could be from to your point, a 9.99 trip to Peru to having a great meal at home. They don't only want great trips; they want memorable moments. So whether it is that dinner at a Michelin-recommended restaurant, a spa day, or an immersive event, we apply honestly the same editorial rigor and value standards we use for travel. There is no change between the two. It also keeps the brand present in our members' everyday lives. And you might only take a few big trips a year, right? But you can enjoy a great restaurant or a wellness escape any weekend. Those touch points strengthen the relationship that we have with our members. So lifestyle isn't a pivot by any means. It truly is an extension of who we are, and that is a club that helps people discover these exceptional experiences wherever they are, right? Because that's the most important piece. And it goes back to what you mentioned and what I said, meeting our members where they are, wherever they are. And these lifestyle experiences do that.
Yeah, that's great. I really appreciate it. Now, one other thing I want to talk about too, so there's two more things I want to cover in our first episode. And one of them, this wouldn't be a travel trends episode if we didn't talk about trends for 2026. So the overall theme of this series is, best bets. So those are the biggest trends in terms of destinations and deals that are going to be out there. But I wanted to get both of your take on the trends you're paying attention to. So even when we have a conversation like that, we think about wellness and certain categories that you're seeing growth on. And so maybe, Gabe, I'll go to you first and then bring Jonathan back in. But Gabe, in your role, what are some of the overall trends you're seeing in the travel industry for 2026 that might be interesting for our global listeners?
And I'm lucky enough to engage with people in the media business, and they're hearing from consumers all the time. So it's an interesting dots to connect there. A couple of things come to mind. I think culinary travel is going to continue to expand and grow, especially in these more sort of nuanced and bespoke types of culinary experiences. So I think that is not going anywhere. It'll simply continue to expand as something that's going to lure travelers to get out and about. I think wellness, particularly self-focused wellness. Can I travel somewhere and finally get a really good night's sleep? Can I travel somewhere and detach myself from the daily routine that perhaps prevents me from feeling really good every single week? Maybe I need to just go deep into a forest and forest bathe. Where can I go do that? So this idea that I'm traveling for the sake of introspection, of self analysis, and being able to tap things and moments that it will enhance that. And I do think that there's an interesting cross section between travel and pop culture that is unavoidable. So this set jetting idea that we've buzzed about in the last couple of weeks, I think that's going to continue to play a role in I think amongst Gen Xers and the millennials. There's a growing population of younger travelers who are clearly taking their cues from what they're seeing on their phone screens in the movie theater, and how that encourages and inspires destinations to tap that pop culture phenomenon. I think is something we'll continue to see grow in 2026 for sure.
Yeah, I think for me, I would say there are probably three trends that I'm watching, especially closely right now. Gabe alluded to one of them. It's this idea of quiet travel. I would say the second one would be generative AI. Which is a big one, and purposeful travel, right? And I think together, when you think of those three things, they're reshaping how people plan and experience trips. Quiet travel is a big one, as I mentioned, right? After years of noise, crowds, and information overload, travelers are craving the calm. Slower itineraries, nature-driven escapes, wellness-focused stays, and destinations that truly let them unplug, right? So it's less about doing more and really more about feeling restored, and that's important. The AI piece is another major shift. I think we're all experiencing it now. It's transforming how people plan. Giving travelers faster answers, curated suggestions, and the ability to really sort through complexity, because sometimes trips are not easy to book and plan, right? But to be able to do that instantly. But the real opportunity is combining AI speed with human editorial judgment. That's the Travelzoo piece, right? Which is where we absolutely thrive. This idea of purposeful travel, it's quite interesting. I'll tell you. People want trips with meaning, and I think this came out after coming out of a pandemic and travel being more so pre-pandemic, checking boxes for Instagram. I think we all know what that used to look like. Now it's people want these trips to really mean something, whether that's connecting with local culture or celebrating personal milestones or even choosing experience that feel responsible and intentional in some kind of way. And I think when you put those trends together, Dan, it's clear. Travelers, they want travel that's calmer, smarter, and more meaningful. And those themes are guiding, I think, how we think about content and curation here at Travelzoo.
Yeah, I really appreciate sharing those, Jonathan. A couple of those certainly really resonate with me. I even actually have heard like the quiet concept of hospitality, where people, they just want to be unplugged. And and you bring up two important themes, which is, with Gen AI and the continued development of technology, there's this great utilization of the platform where you can combine the technology with the human touch, but then ultimately people want to disconnect from technology and they want to connect with other people, which is back to your point about purposeful travel. Right. So no, I appreciate you sharing those with us. I know this is something that Travelzoo stays close to because obviously the focus on the membership, the community, you guys are obviously almost always first to know when you're seeing what people are clicking on, whether it be emails or on your website, and can highlight. And I'm certainly keen to bring that up over the course of this series. So Gabe, one thing we'll definitely plan on is sharing some interesting kind of stats, highlights,
yes, sir,
some things that everyone should be paying attention to in 2026. But I got one more question for Jonathan, since he won't be joining us every episode. You're welcome back anytime. Just know that. And maybe we can finish off this series and bring you back for a few highlights from all the destinations we've covered. If you wouldn't mind joining us again.
Would love to.
Cool. That'd be great. I'm sure our audience would be after they've got a chance to meet you here as well. And especially then I'll finish with Gabe with some of the highlights you're looking forward to in this series. But Jonathan, I want to make sure while we have you as part of this, what are some of the other things that beyond the best bets, which Gabe can speak to in a moment, and our priority around highlighting those in 2026. What are some of the other initiatives around Travelzoo in 2026 that'll be worth our listeners being aware of?
I would say, if thinking about going beyond best bets, I'd say we're expanding how we inspire members, right? Think deeper editorial storytelling, more first-person experiences from our team via our social channels, and then new themed collections. We talked a bit about this, like from wellness retreats, and Gabe mentioned this, which is going to be really huge for us in 26, to culinary journeys, right? Those are the things that help travelers choose based on the kind of experiences they want, not just the destination. So I think, be on the lookout for, again, more discovery, more intention, which is important, and more ways for our travel enthusiasts to find experiences that feel genuinely special. Because that's important, genuinely special in the year ahead. So that's what I would say.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And Gabe, so this is episode 1, 9 more to follow next week. These are launching every Tuesday. It's Travelzoo Tuesday with Travel Trends every Tuesday for the next 10 weeks. And I know we've already talked about looking at doing some other interesting content initiatives as well. But as we focus on this and bring this great series together, what are some of the things that our listeners can look forward to next week, in the weeks ahead? And what are you excited about this series?
I'm excited. And I think what will resonate nicely is the fact that there are all of these destinations are going to perk people up. Some will raise some eyebrows in that very sort of curious, intriguing way. We've got most continents represented on this list. And some of these destinations are simply far-flung, exotic, and remote to the personal experience enough to really kind of perk people up. And I mentioned just a reference to the 2025 list, which it's included in Malta. I've talked to a lot of people who got Malta on their radar because of this list. The fact that a lot of us within the company have been physically traveling out there, and so we're getting very pointed questions about what's it like there, what does it cost to go there, when is the best time of year to go. These very basic questions that simply a year ago would not have been part of the vernacular for these travel enthusiasts because Malta was not on their radar. Greenland was also on that list before it became a bit of a political hot potato, Greenland was on our list for solid reasons because of increased flights, out of the U.S., et cetera, et cetera. So I think there are destinations. One is particularly personal to me because it's where I was raised. So there's a personal affectation there. So that'll be a fantastic episode. But I think it's the way that it's going to get people to sort of really perk up, raise that eyebrow, and put something on their to-do list that simply would have been off their radar just a year ago.
You see what Gabe just did there? He's gonna have your audience Googling his name and where was he raised, so they can find out the second destination.
Just a couple of little hints here. Yeah.
Exactly. I like the little Easter eggs you're leaving for everybody. And even if they go to the website today, so travelzoo.com, they can register in any country they're in. It'll automatically redirect. I was even in anticipation of our conversation today, looking at the site and seeing a number of these destinations already standing out to me. So some of those are, what we'll reveal next week. People can get more information right away on the website. So Gabe, just make sure that everyone knows how to register, how to get involved in Travelzoo. We'll cover that as we go along in the series, but just to make sure everyone starting off with us, that they can get registered, be signed up, and be ready to go as we start rolling these out.
Yeah, become a member in any of the countries that we're in. Certainly the Travelzoo website, travelzoo.com in the U.S., travelzoo.ca there in Canada. But you go to the Travelzoo website, it'll direct you to, as you mentioned, Dan, to any one of our multiple country versions of the website. You'll find us on social media, certainly on Instagram and Facebook in particular. But the Travelzoo website is going to be your best resource and your best guide into a very special, very unique and exclusive world of travel experiences.
Awesome. Well, Gabe, we're going to speak again soon. So thank you for this. And I look forward to speaking to you next week and announcing the official destinations. And of course, Jonathan, since you've agreed to come back, our listeners are going to expect to hear from you in episode 10, because we can actually revisit the city that if anyone didn't get it, but we could also, highlight some of the other destinations that stood out to you and just kind of summarize this series. So thank you for the partnership. Thanks for the opportunity to work together on this. I'm really excited to bring this to life for our listeners and for our global travel audience. So thank you for that. And thanks for everything you've shared with us today. I'm excited to get this going.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having Travelzoo. We are very excited about this series. And yes, I'm happy to return anytime you'll have me.
Thank you again, Jonathan, and thank you, Gabe. I'm so thrilled to be kicking off this series together. I hope everyone now has a great understanding about Travelzoo and about the best bets for 2026. Next week, we will introduce you to Andrew Young and all the best bet destinations for 2026. We're going to be launching these every Tuesday, so it's a Travel Trends and Travelzoo Tuesdays from now on for the next 10 weeks. So make sure you're subscribed on the streaming platform of your choice, whether it be Apple or Spotify, and we are going to be posting clips and highlights on our social channels as well, which you can find at Travel Trends Podcast on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. We also do publish our monthly newsletter, so you can sign up for that at traveltrendspodcast.com and get more information on us. And check out travelzoo.com and make sure you are fully registered and engaged to be able to book any of these destinations as they come up over the course of this series. Thanks again for joining us. I can't wait to have you back for next week. Until then, safe travels.